Welcome, my constant reader friends. I'm Tad, and this is Tad Reads Books and Stuff. All right, so today, let's just start off with a quick update on my reading. So I did finish different seasons. We will be doing a video about this book next week. I know this was my February Stephen King short story, what am I calling it? Shorty King's project for February. It's done. Next week, I really am not going to have anything finished, so I'll do that video next week. All right, so stay tuned for that. I know everyone is chomping at the bit to hear what I think about different seasons. So we'll do that. I did finish reading this. I will do this at the end of the month when I review the Bachman books, 4 early novels by Stephen King. I'm already started reading Rage. I'm only about 25 pages in on Rage. Also contains The Long Walk, Road Work, and The Running Man. So we'll be finishing that up this month. Also, I haven't started reading it yet. Finally, book 9. Yeah, The Expanse, Leviathan Falls. Of course, book 1, Leviathan Wakes, and book 9, Leviathan Falls. Finally, the end of my 9-month travels through the universe with The Expanse and the crew of the Rocinante. Awesome. Can't wait to get this finished. And then, of course, have not started this yet either. Bron McMorn, The Last King, compilation of Bron McMorn's stories by Robert E. Howard. We'll get to that this month as well. So, what are we talking about today? We're going to be talking about TIAMAT'S WRATH. I'm a little behind on my videos. I finished this, of course, last month. Book 8 in the Expanse series, of course. And along with that, the short story, watch out, Ted, the short story AUBERON in Memory's Legion, which goes with the time period that book 8 is talking about. So let's start with this. Now, I know I don't get a lot of watchers on my Expanse videos. There are probably thousands of videos out there about this series. But this is a series that I've been reading, so I'm going to talk about it. Also, let me just say, I'm going to do my best. I do not put spoiler alerts out on my videos. This is a booktube channel. I'm going to talk about books. There's going to be spoilers. I hope people realize that when they watch my channel. It's nothing nefarious. I'm not trying to hurt anybody, but if I'm going to talk about a book, invariably there's going to be spoilers. So I'm sorry. I'm going to do my best to not give away some spoilers in this book. Unfortunately, that may make the video quite boring. So if you don't want to watch, tune out. Sorry. I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to do my best. All right. So let's start with the numbers. As always, this is the 8th book in the Expanse series. This book was published in March of 2019. We're in March of 2023, 4 years ago. We're finally catching up, becoming more relevant in time. My version has 531 pages in the story, and currently on Goodreads, the Goodreads rating for this is 4.58, quite high, and good reason. Let me start off by everyone. We've talked about this before. I don't try to read or look at too many wow, that shouldn't be a hard word to say, videos about a specific book before I read it. Now, we're 8 books into this story, so of course, I mean, you kind of know where you're going, of course, but let me give you, everyone talks about the first 4 words of this novel as really kind of laying down the path that you're going to be getting into when you read this book. And I'm not going to read you those 4 words. I'm going to use another book to give you the idea. A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. I love this version that I have. This is really cool. I picked this up years and years ago, but it came with a CD of, you know, somebody reading the book, which is really cool. I liked that. It's got a nice little thing here. Plus, in here, let me find, if I can find, it has all these things here on the side that give you a little insight into Charles Dickens and the time period. There's some political things in here. All throughout the book, there's these like little asides that give you inform you on some of the information, because, you know, it's kind of old language that he uses. But I really like this book. Let me just read to you the first lines in this book. You're all probably very familiar with it, but it starts off with, Marley was dead to begin with. Opening lines, Charles Dickens, Christmas Carol. Very similar to the open lines in TIAMAT'S WRATH. Yeah, this book, we're 8 books in now. You have been on this journey with this crew of the Rocinante and this family of characters. They do a really good job in this whole series of weaving characters in and out of the story that, you know, you'll see come back from another book or another story, and play important roles throughout. But you're really invested with the family of the Rocinante, and this is the penultimate book. There's only one more book left. Things start happening. Nobody lives forever. Okay? It's just nature. So, all right. So, in this book, though, it's really okay, so now it's a continuation of the last book, of course, book 7, Persepolis Rising. And, but it's 2 years after the events of that book. So that book, book 7, was 30 years after the book, book 6. Now we're 2 more years after book 7. So the linear story is not as linear as maybe some of the other books in the series. And I've talked about this. 7, 8, and 9 really are a separate trilogy. I think, you know, 30 years later, this is what happens. They could have done them as a separate trilogy, but, you know, it's a series, whatever. So this is two years later, and this really focuses on Laconia and, of course, the Laconian Empire. We heard that before. So a lot of the story and the plot takes place on Laconia, which is now, you know, the head of the empire, the ruler of everything. 100,000 worlds, or whatever it is. It's huge and expansive, of course, but we're going to focus on Laconia in this book. Not always, of course. Teresa Duarte. She is really the driving force, her story in this book. And who is Teresa Duarte? Of course, she's the daughter of Supreme Leader, High Mucky Muck, ruler of the empire, Winston Duarte. And she's like, what is she, 13? And so she's really, really the focal point of this. If you are interested in following the, you know, hijinks of the crew of the Rocinante is not even hardly in the book at all. It's in mothballs. It's like just hiding out somewhere. because the crew of the Rocinante now are all over the place. Of course, we know Holden from the last book is a prisoner on Laconia. Naomi is, playing a big role in the resistance, but she's basically just playing a shell game, they call it. She's hopping from ship to ship to ship to try to stay away from, the Laconian Empire that's hunting her down, because she's so instrumental in, the resistance. Of course, we're 2 years on now in this, and the resistance is, still a thorn in the side of the Laconian Empire. The Laconian Empire really, they've got their ships, but they've got basically 3 of these crazy megalithic superpowered ships that can destroy a world in the blink of an eye, that are using, the proto-molecule technology. Those are the 3 ships that basically took over the whole universe. One of them isn't quite ready for prime time. It's still on Laconia, and it's protecting Laconia. That's smart. The other 2 are out doing their things, but I don't want to give too much away. I'm trying. I really am. Anyway, so Teresa Duarte, the daughter, right? She's 13, so she's changing, right? She's becoming an adult, but she's got a lot of pressure from her father, because he wants, her to take over for him someday. Not. Because there's this other dude, Paulo Cortazar. Paulo Cortazar. He's a doctor that is working with Duarte to use the proto-molecule and some other things that we've learned in the past, to make him live forever. Duarte is a megalomaniac. He just wants to live forever and be the supreme ruler of the universe forever. He wants the doctor to eventually make Teresa live forever. The doctor has his own nefarious ideas of what he wants to do with this, of course. Just messed up, evil, crazy people. But Teresa isn't. Teresa is a very smart girl, and sometimes she just has to get away from everybody. So she sneaks out from the palace and meets up with this hermit living in the caves, and his name's Timothy. Wait, don't we know Timothy? Yeah, Timothy, the original name of Amos. So Amos is on Laconia. He's hiding out. Everyone else in the resistance, everyone else, the crew of the Rocinante, think Amos has disappeared, probably dead. But he's doing some things in these caves on Laconia, and he becomes friends, of course, with Teresa, and she feels that Timothy is her best friend in the world, and he's just dry and to the point, and she really appreciates that, because everybody else, of course, she's the princess, so they, kowtow to her, and run her the older people try to run her life. The kids, that she goes to school with are careful. You see where it's going. So anyways, I can't give too much away, so I'm trying. Let's just talk about the book, how I experienced reading this book. I don't want to say that it is a slow burn. But it kind of is. I think those are probably the most succinct words to use to describe the book. I was telling my girlfriend, it's like an emotional roller coaster ride. And then that's what it dawned on me. It's like, have you ever gotten on a roller coaster? So you sit down, they strap you in or whatever, put the bar down, they lock you down. You've got this trepidation already, right? this, a little bit of anxiety starting to build up. Okay, you know what's going to happen, but you're still kind of safe. And then the roller coaster starts going. And oftentimes it's like click, 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 click. It's going up, right? It's going up. You can see the top of that roller coaster ride coming, and you know what's going to happen when you hit it. And then you're going to be in it, and your heart's going to go flying up into your throat, and it's going to be a thrilling ride that scares you but gets your adrenaline running, and you love that rush. This is kind of how this story is. It's kind of like going up that roller coaster ride. At first, it does seem a little slow. And I have heard some people, read about some people not liking that and not even finishing the book because of the slow buildup. But it's not really slow. It's like slow but fast. Yeah, that roller coaster is going slowly, but it's still too fast for you because you know it's coming, right? That's how this book was for me. When you get done with it, it's like stepping off that roller coaster ride. You dreaded it, you were afraid of it, then it was so thrilling, you loved it, and you get back in line real quick to do it again. That's how this book does. Everything in this book is important. It does jump around a bit because everyone's scattered now. Holden, he's got his story going on Laconia. Teresa's got her story going on Laconia. The doctor. We also meet Elvie. You remember Elvie Okoye? Yeah, Elvie Okoye from Chibola Burn. Probably one of my least favorite books in the series. Becomes a very integral person in this story and is awesome. She really comes back to life. Her and her husband and their relationship with Holden and her relationship now with Winston Duarte and Teresa. It's actually really good. The story, though, the writing style, you read people like Stephen King, Tad Williams, for me, Terry Brooks. I just like their writing style, their voice. As it's comfortable to me. I really love reading their books for that reason. This was a little bit changey for me from the prior books and their style of writing. But I thoroughly enjoyed it when I was done with it. It's an emotional ride. I'm not going to lie to you. You're going to find times when you're yelling at the book. You're going to find times when you're crying for good reasons, bad reasons, difficult reasons. I'm almost out of breath talking about it because it's so it's different, but it's integral. It's the penultimate book in the series. There's only one more left. You know it's going to hit the fan, right? It's going to come down. Now, is it perfect? No, it's not perfect. I only gave it a 4. I didn't even give it a 5 in my rating. Because there are a lot of, what I want to say, jumps in this book where you're reading a chapter, it's going along, then you break to go to another area. Now we've left Laconia, we're going to go, watch Naomi for a little while and her ship jumping and developing the resistance, or Bobby and Alex, and their plans in the resistance. And then you'll come back to this other chapter that you were just reading about Laconia, and it's like a jump ahead, and boom, this is happening, and you're like, wait a second, how did we get there? What happened in between there? They don't tell you at all. It's just boom, now Duarte is this, and you're like, what the hell just happened? It happens quite a bit in this book. Then you'll jump back to Naomi, and she's somewhere else doing something else, and what? And then all of a sudden, that's the only problem I had with this book. There is a lot of that, and it starts off right from the beginning because the book starts 2 years, after Persepolis. rising, and they don't explain anything of how you've gotten to that point. There's a lot, but there's everything in this book. Let me just tell you, it's social, political, economical, emotional, ethical, ideological, any all word you can think of, commercial, comical, is in this book. It's well done. You can definitely see how the authors have just grown throughout this series and presented a really good book. Some people saying their favorite book in the whole series. Well, up until this point. We haven't read book 9 yet. So anyways, I know this is running long, and I didn't mean for it to be long. Let's just real quick talk about AUBERON. AUBERON is the short story that goes along with this time period. We only have one more left. What's the next one? The Sins of Our Father. The Sins of Our Fathers. Oh, that's nice portents right there. But AUBERON was really good story too. Please, if you're reading the series, get Memories Legion. Read the short stories. AUBERON is another planet in now the expanding Laconian Empire, and it's a very important planet because it's got a lot of agriculture and things. So it's really becoming a big hub of a planet for this expanding universe, and so they're very important. So go there, explore this. You're gonna see some cool stories in here about this world was very, I want to liken it to Miami, where they say Miami has more illegal money floating around Miami than any other place in the country. Yeah, there's so much corruption going on AUBERON. They get this new governor, Rittenauer. He's the first Laconian governor now of AUBERON, and he's gonna, he's like a lot of these people in Laconia. They're self-righteous. They think they're going to be able to clean up, this world and put a kibosh to all the illegal dealings and corruption on the planet, and he's going to bring it in line. His wife Mona is a scientist, so she wants to do the same thing with the science, because a lot of the science that's going on Laconia is corrupt as well. Anyways, so they get on the planet. He goes to his induction ceremony and has a party afterwards, meets this, they call him the old man. The old man immediately tries to buy him off, and he doesn't take it, so he uses Major Overstreet to try to look into, find out who this old man is. We find out that it's Eric. Remember Eric? Yeah. So in this, we've gone back to Timothy and Eric. Timothy and Eric, of course, best friends when they were kids, living in Baltimore. Eric, of course, becomes the head of like this ring of, what I want to say, like a mafia figure on Baltimore, until the rocks were dropped and almost destroyed Earth. Well, now here's Eric showing up now on AUBERON, where he's like the main gangster of AUBERON, and his influence on the world and his fight with Rittenauer. Rittenauer is just a voice of the Laconian Empire, or Duarte, similar to the Sing path that we had. Sing probably, if he didn't get offed, would be like in this situation now in the future. So it's just this, it's a crime story, and it's very interesting. Read it. Every story in this book has gotten progressively better, and better. They definitely inform the story, the universe, the world that we're reading. I think it was awesome. It's probably my favorite one so far, because you just see how, even though you may have some idealistic ideas of how you want to do something, sometimes it's just not realistic. Rittenauer finds this out in this story. Again, trying to be vague, not give anything away, but definitely read the short stories. If you're gonna read the series, definitely get this and read this. All right, guys, that's it. I know I've talked too much. I've rambled on. I've tried to say things without saying things. I probably said too much, but I really enjoyed book 8, and I can't wait for book 9 in this series. All right, guys, if you've stuck through this whole video, please like, subscribe, give me comments, as I always say, and I hope you have a good rest of your month. Peace out.